And I didn't know anything about sales and marketing, nothing. I was a sports science graduate with no idea, but I loved people. I'll never forget it. I was a personal trainer at Club Physical Sylvania, which then became Healthland, which became Fitness First. But, mate, I didn't know anything about anything except I liked people and I knew how to train a bit and I was in okay shape. And then I put my little thing up on the board. It was called Geoff's Unique Physiques. That was the name of my first little sole tradership that I had there back in 95 or something it was. And one by one, people were like, mate, are you a trainer now? I'm interested. And within a month or two, I had 10 clients paying me $50 an hour, $60 an hour. I'm like, how good's this? I'm not doing anything. I just like, but I like people, right? When I'm not stressed and when I'm doing stuff on, purposeful work, I love people and, I get along with them. And so all of a sudden I had 10 clients, 20 clients, 30 clients, just because I loved what I was doing and paying it forward. And I made a little bit of money. It was a fair transaction. And as a result of that, my business partner, who became my business partner, Andrew Simmons, he approached me and he said, mate, why don't we team up? This was after a year or so, because I was very good with the sales and marketing. It turned out, I had no idea, but I guess people liked me, I liked them, and I got excited, and excitement created excitement, and all of a sudden, we went from one trainer to 30 trainers. 30. Everyone worked for Vision, Peter.
How long did that take, Geoff?
18 months. It exploded because I came up with this idea to do weight loss challenges. I saw Bill Phillips do Body for Life. I went, that's the go, 12-week challenge. And then I was the spokesperson for Bill in Australia. I was the EAS ambassador, and we were the training for... When you think back, I've done a bit of stuff at 40. You forget this stuff. So I was the ambassador for EAS. We ran this Body for Life challenge. And the business went from one trainer to 30 trainers. We got kicked out of the gym because they said, listen, you're too big. You can't take on any more staff. You can't replace them. Well, I went, well, bugger you. I'm out. Let's go, Simo. And we went and opened Vision Carrying Bar. That was in 99. So 2001, January 2001, we opened our first one down there in Carrying Bar, because before that we were just in the gym as trainers. And Andrew and I were Australian Personal Trainers of the Year in 2003. So we sort of got the we got the accolades along the way, me and my mate Andrew, and he's still the CEO of Vision. There's like 55 of them now in Australia and New Zealand. But the point was, I loved helping people with their physique. And here's where it went pear-shaped. This is probably the most important thing of the night for people to learn. Where it went pear-shaped for me was comparison. So I went from being a young bloke who loved helping people to all of a sudden, this is all ego, all of a sudden, clients coming in Ferraris, deep waterfront homes, massive wealth. And I'm like, I'm a trainer. This is boring. And it was this comparison. And why have they got that when I don't? And this monster just started to... I wanted more. Disease of more. It's not happening fast enough. It's too slow. What am I doing? Personal training, I'm frustrated. It was awesome. But I forgot why I started. Yep. And then after a year or so in that, I'm like, Sim, I've had enough. Buy me out on board or whatever. I love Vision. I still speak to the trainers and the network there occasionally, and it's got a very special place in my heart every time I walk past it. But disease of more. It wasn't so much greed, it was more comparison. I looked at other people and their success, and I wanted it faster. I wanted status. I wanted recognition. But when I started, I didn't want any of that. And then again, when I got out of that, and then I started Body Trim, I started it with the right reasons. I wanted to get into the weight loss space. I wanted to help people lose weight, because obviously I'd realised by then obesity crisis, PTs are great, but not necessarily if you need to lose 50 kilos, and lots of people do. Yep. So I started off in education, and again, it exploded because I was starting for the right reasons. But I have to be so vigilant with what my motives are. And I think it's so important for people, because when you start for the right reasons, you can change the world, you can do amazing things.
I love that, because it's like the bodybuilding analogy that Geoff brought up earlier, where some people get into bodybuilding, for example, just to get fit and healthy, and then all of a sudden they become obsessed with it because they want to go and become this, this freak on stage and all of that sort of thing, and then they actually end up being miserable, like you said. Like, they look great on Instagram, but then they've taken it to that much of an extreme that they're actually miserable people. And they've forgotten why they got into it in the first place. They got into it in the first place to be fit and healthy, but then led them down that extreme path, which is the same as what happened to you in business. So I guess the lesson here is more so always going back to your why.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Would you agree? Like, you know, finding out your purpose and staying true to yourself.
And it goes back to that to the analogy that we always talk about week in, week out is, you know, and we talk about it from an investment perspective or entrepreneurial perspective. Money doesn't follow. It doesn't lead, it always follows. So if you're not following your purpose and your passion,
that's
just chasing the dollar or chasing the Ferrari or chasing the waterfront home, it's not going to last. You're eventually going to get burnt out. Absolutely,
You're always comparing yourself to others. So with weight loss, for example, because a lot of our listeners are into it, into this podcast because of weight loss and health and fitness, a lot of people go to the gym and they compare themselves to others.
That's right.
Right? They'll compare themselves to someone who's been doing it for, I don't know, 30, 40 years. And that's been that part of their lifestyle forever. And that's not the right way to be. They should really just be comparing themselves to themselves and looking in the mirror.
It made it so true. And with social media now, it's harder than ever, especially for the youngsters watching. It's you're on Instagram, everyone looks amazing, Facebook, and it's just not reality-based. Everyone's got challenges, and you just got to stay in your lane and just do what you're passionate about. And I love helping people lose weight and really be their best self without comparison to others. And that's, you know, I was just saying before, I'm the happiest I've probably been in 10 years because I'm back. It's not ego-driven, it's purpose-based. That's the big difference for me now. But I had to hit rock bottom. I had to end up in AA and just a mess.
Can I ask, Geoff, you've obviously bounced back very well from losses and setbacks.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any daily rituals nowadays to make sure that your mind is basically razor sharp?
And I do, and I think they're critical. And I coined a phrase called the transformation trap. And keep an eye out for that one. And the transformation trap is this. I'll talk to you about there's daily rituals that we need to do to be at our best. What happens is if I don't do them today, I won't notice it tomorrow. I won't notice it the day after. I'll notice it in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So and what happens is you stop doing your rituals, and this happens to so many people, myself included, and then you don't notice it straight away. And then you feel crap in 2 weeks' time, and you're like, why do I feel crap? You got to go, well, I stopped getting up at 5. I stopped reading. I stopped meditating. I stopped doing about 5 things that culminated a couple of weeks down the track. Yep. And that's why it's a trap, because it's not obvious. It doesn't happen straight away.
It's long term.
It's long term.
Yeah, it's a compound effect of, you know, doing things every single day.
I say, do the stuff people can't see for the results they can.
I like that.
Right? Do the stuff people can't see. They can see what you eat in public. They can see it doesn't matter what time you're getting out of bed, what time you're going to bed. So I recently did a weight loss group called Belly Busters, and I've coming together with this thing called the Jowett method, and it's not to do just with weight loss, but it's life. And some of the things I teach people is the first half hour of the day, no phone. So you wake up, ideally the first hour, but no phone or computer.
Wow.
You get right, because most people, they wake up, your brain hasn't even had a chance to calibrate.
99% of people.
Yeah. So and this has been life changing for a lot of people, right? So I say first half, last half. So what happens is they wake up, get up, go to the toilet, have a shower, brush your teeth, whatever, walk the dog, do anything, meditate, read a book, a paper book. Not a Kindle, not an iPhone, right? Read a book. Go to Dimmicks, buy a book. You know, get back to basics, and the brain will just works so much better. So first half, you get up, nothing for the first half hour, and ideally the first hour. So that means you might walk your dogs, you might meditate, breathing exercises, whatever it is. Go to the gym, but you're not allowed to look at your phone. And the same thing in the last half hour. And people are sleeping better, they're less anxious, they're less stressed, they're less depressed, they're just more centered. So that's something that's critical. I do a live broadcast at 6:30 a.m. So I'm up latest at 5:30. And ideally, I like to potter down to Hernandez, down the hill. It's a 24-hour cafe. I go in there, I sit in there over a long black with a notepad. and I plan my day and my week, and I just get there and talk to Oscar, the barista, and that starts my day in the right way, and I ease into the day, and my mind starts to. Otherwise, it's like the car. You go from 0 to 100 too quickly, and the brain, it's just madness too fast, and then. And because what a lot of people do, I say food for fuel, not comfort. A lot of people medicate with food or alcohol. So for a lot of people watching this, what's this got to do with weight loss? Everything, and I'll explain why. Because most people out there, I say, do you celebrate or medicate with food or alcohol? 99% of people do. Right? Nothing wrong with alcohol if unless you're me. Have a couple of drinks is great, but if you're medicating with it every day, that's probably not ideal. And the reason is because most people are using external feel-goods to medicate an internal pain. And what's happening is they're not doing this work, so they're constantly stressed, they're constantly anxious, and then they're much more likely to use food or alcohol as a result of that. And these rituals, first half hour, last half hour, 10,000 steps a day, you've got to be reading self-help books every day. You've got to be putting stuff in, get away from negative people. I like to be in the gym each day. Really important, but the key rituals, Tim Ferriss says, win the morning, win the day, right? So you get up nice and early. I reckon it's the hours before midnight as well, I think are really important. I want to be in bed by 10 o'clock. Like, it's funny, like my social life, I have a massive social life when the sun's up. Like, I'm 41, I've done it to death. It's boring. Clubs are boring. I'm bored. There's got to be more to life. Yeah. I want to do more. Not just there's just so much more to do than talk crap with people who are drunk. I'm so bored of it. I did it for 20 years. I was the main offender. I was always the drunkest bloke in the room. Let's not kid ourselves. But I'm done. It's so boring. You want to connect with people. I say connection kills addiction. You show me a drug addict, I'll show you connection. And I can cure that person. I can cure an alcoholic, a food addict. It's pain. People are medicating with pain. They're scared. It's fear-based. And when you start doing this deep work, the Jowett method's an iceberg. So above the surface, food, walking, gym. Everyone knows about it, small regular meals, all that stuff, right? Underneath, limiting belief, self-sabotage, daily rituals, affirmations, all the stuff people can't see. We start to dig into that stuff, life-changing. Because people are actually starting to understand root cause of why they do what they do. And when we start to dig into this stuff, living in the present moment more. Like most people right now are watching the broadcast, but they're thinking about a mistake from yesterday, what they've got to do tomorrow, what they've got to do next week. I did that for decades. It does not work. Present time. You got to get people into present time. I taught this thing, stop, lock, affirm. So if your head starts racing, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, stop. Present time. You got to get yourself back to now. And then you just look at your surroundings to just get yourself centered. And then if you're feeling flat, negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, affirmations with conviction. And it's funny, all the stuff Tony Robbins talks about. For a long time I thought, I don't need to do that. I'm above all.
I was exactly the same.
Right?
I used to think the same thing about Robbins, until I was about 30, and I was like,
mate,
I need this. My life took a bit of a turn at 30, and for the worse, and I had to turn to personal development.
Right.
And I used to always think, previous to being 30, like Robbins was just a waste of time.
Reading a book.
All reading a book. All of those things.
A book without pictures.
and then now, like it's part of my daily ritual, and. Not only just for health and fitness and weight loss, but also and not only just for money or investment purposes, but more so just for myself.
Yeah.
Like finding myself. It's very, very important. And,
Definitely.
If I miss out on one of those things a day, like I hate myself for it. Yeah. I actually can feel it. Yeah. I'm at a point now, so I'm probably 3 years in of doing these daily rituals where if I miss, a gym session or a self-help session or something like that, I actually feel the difference.
All right. Moving on just a little bit away from weight loss.
Sure.
and I know you do have a lot of fans out there that are
No,
obviously
it's
into
all
that
good,
for that
yeah.
reason. But what advice would you give other aspiring entrepreneurs out there wanting to give it a crack in business today? Because you have, like from what you've just told us all, over the last 30 minutes, you've had quite a big run. So what's your advice?
For sure, it's a great question, and anybody wanting